man will never fly in a vehicle. That was 2 months before the Wright brothers' first flight. The great astronomer said that. And there are a whole bunch of them. And one of the chapters deals with cold fusion. I'm convinced that there's something to it. Will it be easy? No. New stuff is never easy. Things don't work that way. So I'm convinced there's something to it, yes.
I don't know if you have an opinion about it, but Dr. Stephen Greer and all his doings, do you have any opinion on that?
I'm not a backer of Steve's approach. I don't think he understands security, but there is a national security aspect to all this stuff, the technology end. We live in a dangerous world. The military budget is $1 trillion this year. Anything that would lead one side to have an advantage over the other is high security by definition. We can't say, oh, here's what I've learned, and you tell me what you've learned, and we'll get together. That'll be the day. About crash saucers and stuff like that. Because remember, there's not only the wreckage of the crash saucer, but there are the measurements made by airplanes chasing the saucers that tell you something about their capabilities, electromagnetic signatures, stuff like that. We can't share that kind of information. So, sorry, I'm not with Steve.
Just wonder about your opinion, that's all.
Yeah, that's what I'm telling you. I'm not with him. I see somebody over there with a question, but can we hear him? Come on up.
Well, I was just wondering about you did a lot of work with fusion. Do you still feel that fusion is a good propulsion system? You mentioned something about magnetic ion propulsion.
Well, there are lots of different propulsion systems, but I think for deep space travel, fusion is, at this point in time, the ideal way to go. And there's another thing about that. Every advanced civilization is going to wonder, how does that darn star of ours work? And once he figures that out, there's so much energy per cubic mile, whatever you want to call it, then you can use that same technique for propulsion. We build weapons first, right? That's man's way. See if it can kill somebody with that. But I still think, I'm not saying we won't find something better than fusion, but I don't know how to warp space and time, interdimensional and all kinds of other things. I do know that fusion is a major source of energy throughout the universe. All of it out there. Other galaxies, not just our own. So that's why I say I'm pointing at that just to say that we Earthlings know that that's a way to produce one heck of a lot of energy. And you can therefore use it for propulsion. That doesn't mean there isn't anything better, but I don't know what it is. Yes?
I'm wondering if you can assimilate everything that at least I've heard so far in terms of the various speakers on the interdimensional possibilities, the consciousness, the integration of near-death experiences and psi phenomena and non-locality and all that stuff in comparison to what you're talking about, which is more the nuts and bolts.
Yeah, I am certainly convinced that there's a lot more to the world than nuts and bolts. I think telepathy, for example, and mind over matter and reincarnation, and there's a whole bunch of these things which are considered paranormal, but which I think are real and we just don't fully understand and certainly don't know how to control. So I think that's a whole part of this world. But in terms of the practical problems, can you get here from there? That's where I focus because that's what my background is. I've worked on fission and fusion, so I know something, they're real. And so I am not trying to address what about all this other stuff, multidimensional, this, that, and the other thing. I'm not saying it's not there, I'm saying I don't know what to say about it. But I know fission and fusion is there. I look up at the sky every day and there's a fusion factory out there, the sun. That's real. Like it or not, it's real. You realize we didn't know, in 1920 we thought the sun produced its energy by burning gas. Fusion didn't come along until 1938. And we didn't duplicate it until 1952. So that's a recent development. But it's omnipotent everywhere, if you will. Everywhere you look, that's fusion going on out there. That doesn't mean there isn't something else. But I talk about what I know something about. I try to avoid sticking my neck out when I don't know anything.
All right, you know, you could have just said 42.
What?
You could have just said 42. The answer to God, the universe, and everything is 42.
Oh, 42, okay. What do
Sorry,
I know?
that was a pretty nerdy reference, but you know. All right, thank you very much, everybody. Thank you, Stanton. I think you're going to be around to answer questions and visit with folks, aren't you?
Well, yeah, I'll visit with them here, and I'll be at my table some of the time, and I can't, what's the point of being at a vendor's table if you got nothing to vend?
Right. Well,